In this video, you will find out how to find the vertex of a quadratic function when it is in standard form. You will also learn how to rewrite a quadratic function in vertex form from standard form. So let's start with the first part, how to find the vertex in standard form. Well, standard form looks like this example here. It's in the form of f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, with a, b, and c being coefficients of each term. It's very important that you first identify those, because in order to find the x value of the vertex, or your h value, you have to do negative b divided by 2 times a. So you need to know what a and b are in the function. So this example here, number 2, f of x equals 2x squared minus 12x plus 3. First thing you should do is find out what a, b, and c are. A is going to be 2, b is negative 12, and c is going to be 3. Now we're doing this because we want to find out what h is and then find out what k is. And that's going to be your vertex. That's step 1 of the problem. H and k. So right now we're going after h. If we can find that, we can find k afterwards. So h is going to be negative b over 2a. So it's going to be negative 12 over 2 times a. So 2 times 2. So all we did there was plug in 2 for a and negative 12 for b. Negative 1 times negative 12 is a positive 12. 2 times 2 is 4. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. So right now in our vertex we have our h value 3, but we still do not know, and I'll highlight this empty space, what k is. And that's the y value of the vertex. Now, if we have the x value and we want to find the corresponding y value, simply take 3, plug it in for x in the original equation, or function. So it's going to be f of 3 equals 2 times 3 squared minus 12 times 3 plus 3. So all we did there is take the x value of 3 and plug it in for x to find our y value, or k. Order of operations, exponents first. 3 squared is 9, so 2 times 9. Minus 12 times 3 is 36. Multiplication first. 18 minus 36 plus 3. Working left to right, 18 minus 36 is negative 18. And negative 18 plus 3 is negative 15. So that is your k value, or your y value, your vertex we'll call it. And that's step 1, finding the vertex. The second objective of this video is to rewrite it in vertex form. Well, in order to write it in vertex form, you need to have the vertex, which we do. So vertex form looks like this. F of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And there are 3 numbers you need to plug in. I'll highlight them right now. You need to have a, h, and k. And if you have those 3 numbers, you can plug them in, simplify if necessary, and you have it the quadratic in vertex form. A was, at the very beginning, determined to be 2. So it's going to be a 2 in front of that set of parentheses. X minus h. H is 3. Now, if that h value were a negative number, you would eventually change it to minus a negative to a plus. But in this case, it's just minus a positive 3, so we're going to keep it as minus 3. And then plus k is going to be plus a negative 15. Or we prefer to write plus a negative as a minus or subtraction symbol. So at the very end here, it's going to be minus 15. And that is the quadratic function in vertex form. So let's review the steps briefly. First, you got to find the vertex, identify a, b, and c, do negative b over 2a, and we got, in this case, 3 for h. To find your y value vertex, plug in 3 back in for x, evaluate, and you get negative 15. That was our vertex we found. Last step, plug in your vertex and your a value into vertex form, and you have the vertex form of the quadratic. Let's move on to another example. Here we have y equals negative x squared plus 7x plus 2. So identify a, b, c. That's negative 1, 7, and 2 respectively. And the first step is to find this vertex. We'll fill in as we go. So h is going to be equal to negative b over 2a. And I highly suggest you write this every single time so it's easy to remember. So it's going to be negative 7 over 2 times a, which is negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And that turns out to be 3.5. Which is okay to write as a decimal because it's an exact number. Some decimals are not exact, and for you not to write them as a rounded decimal. But this one's okay because it's exactly 3.5. So we found the x value of the vertex, or the h value. Now we got to find the y value, or k. You got to plug it back into the original equation. So negative parentheses 3.5 squared plus 7 times 3.5 plus 2. Notice how when I plugged in 3.5, I put parentheses around the 3.5. Makes it a little bit easier when you're doing order of operations. 3.5 squared is 12.25. 7 times 3.5 is going to be 24.5. And then adding 2. Order of operations says you do negative 12.25 plus 24.5 first. That ends up being 12.25 plus 2. And that ends up being 14.25. So your y value of your vertex is 14.25. So that is your vertex. Now, we want to write it in vertex form. Simply rewrite vertex form. Y equals a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. And you're going to plug in a, which is negative 1, or just the negative sign's okay. X minus 3.5. Again, if that were a negative 3.5, I would have preferred you to write x minus negative 3.5 and then, x plus 3.5 the next line down. This one's a positive 3.5, so we're going to leave it as minus. And then plus k plus 14.5. And since we rewrote the a value as just a negative sign instead of a negative 1, this can be our final answer. There's nothing to simplify from here. And that's vertex form. If we ask you to graph it at this moment, you can refer to the videos on graphing vertex form, because it's essentially what's going to take place here when you graph that equation. Alright, that's the end of the video. Remember, if you're finding vertex form of a quadratic from standard form, you first need to find the vertex, that's h and k. That's negative b over 2a for h. Plug it back in to find k, and then rewrite it in vertex form with the vertex and the a value